Hey, hey! Hey.
What's up? Who loves JavaScript? Yeah, who loves React? And who loves Create React App? Okay, and by show of hands, who's used React App Rewired here? Hooray, 5 people. Okay, so what we're going to do today, we're going to talk a bit about what Itamar showed in his slide, what Eliran, I don't know where you went, asked about what is a TC39 Stage 1 proposal, what does it mean, what's going on. So what's a Stage 1 proposal? Well, you know the proposals on TC39?
I don't do open source dev.
But you are aware that there's this invention called TC39, and on this invention they propose proposals, right? The way they pick Stage 39, Stage 2, and 3 proposals, they make a proposal. That proposal is called a TC39 Stage 1 proposal. And on the strength of that proposal, they decide if they want to make more proposals. Some get chosen to become JavaScript programs, some don't, become nothing. So what is a Stage 1 proposal made of? We saw this a bit before. There's a champion. There's prose outlining the problem. Itamar had the good sense to write it in English that everyone can read. Illustrative examples, high-level API, and this one's my favorite, identification of implementation complexity. Okay, so that just means problems. First problem, reading the TC39 spec. Okay, so let's take a look at optional chaining. What is optional chaining? Everyone here, by show of hands, who's gotten undefined is not a function? Everyone. And who's gotten cannot read value of undefined? Everyone. My mom's gotten that one too. She doesn't even write JavaScript. So optional chaining for JavaScript. Here's some awesome screenshots off their GitHub. It has a champion. He's French, but it's OK. No, that's valid. There's no rules about that. So overview and motivation. So here's some basic examples. You can see my mouse. Basically, instead of doing this, using the double ampersand in a way that Python programmers hate because they think that's a Boolean operator, we're going to use dot question mark. Other way around, question mark dot. So if address could possibly be null or undefined, this, without the question mark, would normally throw an error. But here we throw the question mark in because address could be undefined. And with optional chaining, it's optional on the chain. That's what we want.
It's also called the Elvis Operator.
It is also called the Elvis Operator, presumably because it looks like Elvis, but I can't see it. Whatever you're smoking, get me some after the talk. OK, so one last thing is we can use it here also for a function, which is the whole point of the talk. So that's good. So here we've got some syntax. We've got some semantics. I'm sure they got that word out of the spec. And we've got short circuiting, which is what we're going to look at a little bit in the syntax. What happens when you get an undefined with a question mark? Do we want to keep computing things or throw errors? The answer is people have different opinions and they like to argue about it. So we happy?
Yeah, we happy.
There you go. Which, by the way, you see this? The burner is left on. So that place probably burned down after they were done. I never noticed that until I made this talk. All right. Sorry?
What are you proposing?
I'm proposing that Vincent Vega is not a good role model for our children.
He's dead anyway.
All right. Sorry, Ali, you're playing him. All right, so let's take a look at an issue. We're going to take a look at the short circuiting. We were talking a little bit about how can we contribute. One way for any project is to look at issues, argue, come up with solutions, be nice to people. So this guy's saying short circuiting semantics received some criticism by this fellow Waldemar Horvat, which I'm not going to let Israelis try to pronounce. And they're talking about short circuiting. What is the right side? What is the sub-expression? OK, so let's take a look at an issue that this issue references and try to understand it a little better. So the current property access method or function call, which is less useful if it's immediately followed by another property access method or function. What? Say what more one more time. I dare you. Metric tensor. That's what that stands for, right? So instead of just reading the GitHub and trying to make sense of long-winded accusations of nonsensical, let's get this running. I know you got one running. I think you were the only one to raise a hand. We're going to take a Create React app. We're going to throw a lot of stuff at it. React App Rewired, Customize CRA, and the Babble plugin, and we're going to see it running in our app here. So this is my version of live coding. It's way better. We're going to do a create React app. The thing about this, it's like listening to your voice in a recording. You're like, that's how I type? So 9 minutes later, after create React app is done, we can yarn add React App Rewired. And if you really want to watch this GIF for a while, you can see in Emacs, I go in and edit the package JSON. By the way, all of these steps, I found them in disparate places on the internet. So afterwards, if you want to go on my GitHub, github.com/nickfrank/optional chaining, all of this is written up in the README if you want to do it on your own. So that's the React App Rewired. Now we're going to make a Babel file. So React App Rewired is letting us take the React app and add our own Webpack configuration to it. Customize CRA, which we're going to see in this GIF, lets us do that without having to deal with Webpack, which was the whole reason we made Create React App, was so that we didn't have to use Webpack. So here, eventually, we're going to get a Babel config, and we're going to get a config overrides, which is going to let us use the using Babel RC, use Babel RC function out of Customize CRA. So there's our Babel file. It has our Babble plugin. And here, well, we wait for me to copy paste it. There you go. So there's the use Babel RC, and that is the function that is telling the Webpack to use the Babel RC file instead of whatever React app uses. So finally, we're going to add the Babble plugin, which I found in their repository somewhere. It wasn't fun. I don't know. It was. I guess when you find it, it's fun. All right. So that wasn't bad. And now, at the end of that GIF, which I skipped, we do an npm start. So we can see this is an app I built just to play around with. It's a little card memory game. So that one's wrong. That was Marcellus Wallace, but he was red. And OK, here he is. I don't know why, but I usually have pretty good luck at this game. So here we go. Little card guessing game. So we're going to see in this app, I've used 3 places, the optional chaining. And we're going to see how it was useful, why it was great. So the first one, how do I do this? Other way. OK, so this component here is our card. So that's what each one of these is. And it has this onClick function, which obviously is what happens when we click it. And where we render this from the parent, everyone can read the text? It's big enough? OK, so we're good for time. Basically, when the card is done, we pass it undefined for this function. So inside here, inside our component, if we don't have the optional chaining operator, onClick might be undefined. So I really should have tried it first, because now I actually have to find another pair. Real exciting. We can watch me play. Did we see that one? Sorry. Somebody, if they know the answer, yell it at me. OK, there's one. OK, there's Vincent Vega shooting his gun. OK, so who wants to guess what's going to happen when I click on Vincent Vega here? I'll give you a hint. It's the title of the talk. OnClick is not a function. They improve the error reporting now. So why did that happen? Because our function was undefined. And what is the solution? Right over here. We're going to throw that operator down. And now, when we go find another one, it will, like the first time through, it will work. You're not here to watch me play card games, though. So now, once it gets to here, when onClick is undefined, sorry, the question was, what will it do? When it gets to this onClick undefined, it will see that there's this operator here. It will basically do a no-op instead of trying to call the non-existent function. So I looked at the syntax, what it compiles to, and I can't remember if it does nothing or if it specifically does a no-op. Like normally, if you don't have this operator, you have to default value to a function that does nothing, which is ugly and it confuses people, which apparently is bad. All right, so 2 other places I use this, which is really fun. One was when we're comparing the card you've clicked now to the previous card you clicked to see if there's a match. This line of code here, the previous card, sometimes returns undefined, because sometimes this selected index, you didn't select one previously. For instance, the first time you click a card. So when we compare them, if we take out the optional chaining operators here, Now this one I don't have to find a pair, so I'll do this one. When you click the first one, cannot read name of undefined, because previous is undefined because you didn't click one previously. So you cannot read name of undefined. And it's important to remember, though, that the optional chaining operator returns undefined for the expression. So if current.name was undefined, you might end up, does anybody know if undefined triple equals undefined? True? Should we vote? Undefined is true, false, or Pat Buchanan? OK, and one last thing, which I thought, I don't know if this one's any good, but it's kind of funny. When state.selectedIndex, so this is either null or a number. So you either selected something previously, and we know which one it is, or it's null because you didn't select anything previously. So instead of checking for, I'll show you what this line of code would normally look like. Normally, you'd say type of this.state.selectedIndex equals number. So that's a good enough way to see if the thing is a number. I didn't like that, though. So what I did is I said this.state.selected question mark dot value of. So every kind of thing in JavaScript, other than undefined and null, has a value of function. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. So now this will return truthy. It will be a function as long as the thing that you're looking at is not null or undefined. Otherwise, it will be falsy. And this is what checks. What does it do? It checks to put the cards back if you made a bad match. So that is how we do that. Hold on, where's my talk? And bam.